all-time banger of a main event at bantamweight 2 weeks after Jan Dvalishvili. A big-time shakeup at the top of this division. We have the number 3rd ranked man himself, Chito Marlon Vera, taking on number 5, Cory Sandhagen. As always, one half of your hosting duo, Craig Allen FNP, Twitter and Instagram. With me to my left, to your right, respective socials, Matt Allen FNP. And it's a big-time fight in this division because for both these guys, they're coming off of wild 4th-round finishes in main events, of course. For Cory Sandhagen, he beat Song Yadong, which if you're playing MMA math at home, Song Yadong beat Marlon Vera. So that is, listen, it's an eventuality.
That was a really good fight,
it's
too.
Inevitability. It was a fight of the night when Marlon Vera fought Song Yadong, and a really close one as well. But for Cory Sandhagen, he opened up that cut earlier on in the fight, and it just continued to leak. The eyebrow was a mess, and at the end of the 4th round, they said that is enough. Cory Sandhagen, your victor. A picture of consistency in a lot of these fights, and for me, I went back, did a lot of tape study on this one, tried to find former common opponents, so that one for Sandhagen, a great win there against Song Yadong. For Marlon Vera, 4 wins in a row. Bonuses, they are aplenty.
This girl is on fire.
Marlon Vera was 21 years old when he made his UFC debut at UFC 180 off the Ultimate Fighter Latin America that produced such names as the now interim featherweight champ, Yair Rodriguez. But Marlon Vera at the start, it was a little bit rocky. But I mean, since then...
He was pretty good, though. No, I can say this. I've been on this Marlon Vera, hype train for a while. I knew he was good ever since he knocked out Brad Pickett. And I know, he knocked out Brad Pickett. Of course, you hop on the hype train after that. That was a long time ago. Look at the bottom of his record, please.
I'm just saying, Matt, he's 14-6 in the UFC. He's 10-2 in his last 12 fights.
But the skills were always there. You just have to look at the opponents that he struggled with, and they all fight in the exact same way. They're compact boxers who have more power than he does. All of them are pretty much. Song Yadong has more speed. Might not have the power of a Marlon Vera, but still. Gets on the inside, uses his speed. Jose Aldo gets on the inside, uses his speed in boxing. John Lineker, same thing. Douglas Da Silva de Andrade does the same thing. All of his opponents that he struggles with fight in a very similar manner. So I don't think Marlon Vera has made this massive change to his career. I think the one thing he has done is figured out, hey, I can't get off to these incredibly slow starts like I used to, because that's what Marlon Vera was known for. I know Brian Ortega kind of became known as the king of the comeback with those wild submissions, but Marlon Vera was well known for burning the first 2 rounds, which is a dangerous thing to do in the UFC, and then coming back and securing these incredible finishes. Even go back and watch the Brad Pickett fight. Brad Pickett beat him in round 1 and round 2. He was just able to come back and land that wild head kick by the 3rd round, which won him the fight.
And for the man in the hat of a British top team, that was a retirement fight right there. So really tough one for Brad Pickett. Now, Matt, when you look at it for Marlon Vera, and you touched on it, to me, he's been able to heat up. The level of competition when he went on the first win streak isn't what it is right now. Willie G. Barren, Guido Canetti, Frankie Saenz, Nolene Hernandez, and Andre Ewell. Before he has the fight of the night against Song Yadong, that was at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, one of the first cards back in 2020. Loses that one. First round he burns, 2nd round he looks great, 3rd round was really close, then he takes on Sean O'Malley, elbows from the guard, finishing up with the leg kicks, the peroneal nerve, if that was what he was able to hurt. The fight against Jose Aldo, we've got that iron-on patch of a tattoo for Jose Aldo, where Aldo was able to mix in the parts of his games. I know he's not credited with takedowns, but he had a lot of success with just his overall MMA game, did Jose Aldo. But the aggressiveness that we've definitely seen out of Marlon Vera these last 4 fights, Davey Grant, that was a fight of the night. The fight against Frankie Edgar. Rob Font, where it's round 2, 3, and 4 that Vera's able to go out there and drop him.
He made him look like a different person.
He made him puffy. He made him puffy in that one. And the epitome of that fight that he had against Rob Font that translates well into this one is, look at just the numbers. Rob Font completely outlands Marlon Vera in that fight. Who landed the harder shots that meant more out of the damage and the pressure in that one? It was Marlon Vera.
And that's the thing. If you go back and watch Song Yadong fight against Cory Sandhagen, Song gets on the inside a lot and hits him with huge boxing combinations. I know Cory wins that fight. That's an incredible fight. I had such a fun time watching that fight again because Song made a great account of himself even though he got cut. The thing is, Cory Sandhagen was, let's say they were kind of even on the feet because Song was able to land big shots in the feet, was able to wobble, I would say, Sandhagen. There's one point in the round where he is able to hit him with a straight shot, sends Sandhagen back. The difference is, Vera's going to be able to threaten a lot more off the mat than Song Yadong was able to. He might not be the wrestler that Song Yadong is because Song does have great defensive wrestling training with those guys at Team Alpha Male, but Marlon can threaten a lot more. The difference is Marlon hits so hard. It is incredible. He's not someone who's built like a Francis Ngannou. He doesn't look like he's this one-hitter quitter, but he is the definition of it. If he gets on the inside, hits you with those clean hooks, he puts you down. And we saw that in the Dominic Cruz fight. Dominic Cruz was starting to gas up, starting to look like himself, laying those great combinations on the outside, those great angles. Marlon would cancel out the 4 great minutes of Dominic Cruz by landing those devastating hooks on the inside. And the good thing about Vera is, doesn't just have power in the right hand, doesn't just have power in the left hand. He is a 4-limb striker, and he has power in all 4 limbs. Has power in both legs and both hands.
Yeah, and if you gave Marlon Vera a chance to do like Lethway, he'd probably be pretty darn good at that one. But the Song Yadong fight, I made the mistake. The first round was Song, the second round was Song, the third round was Vera, but the first round was very close. If you go and look at it in the fight against Rob Font, how did he knock him down? First hit was a left hook. Second knockdown was with a knee. The last one was with a head kick. And against Dominic Cruz, he had that weird short left hand in close. Then the next one was a jab that dropped him. And then, of course, the finale, that head kick that just completely hit him like a sack of potatoes.
But the thing is, these guys both are normally the rangier strikers in their matchup. I know Vera's not massive for the division, but he uses his legs and his reach about as well as anybody. So it is fair to say they're 2 of the rangier guys, but neither one's really going to have that advantage in this fight. And oddly enough, for 2 guys who do give up defense in terms of just adding more offense to their game, I think defense is going to be really important in this fight. And this is a part of Marlon's game that might help him, it might not. I don't honestly know the answer to this. We did see Sandhagen slow down a little bit against Petr Yan in that 5th round. Petr really came on strong by the 5th round. Not saying Vera is the fighter Petr Yan is. They are different. But if Vera does kind of give up the first round and is sound enough defensively, letting Cory Sandhagen throw a lot of volume, I could see a world, and that's a dangerous game plan against Cory Sandhagen, but you could see a world where Sandhagen is throwing a lot of that volume, throwing a lot of his combinations, but not landing with a lot of power. And I could see a world where Vera is able to, minute by minute, just get closer and closer to Sandhagen. Because for as good of a striker as Cory Sandhagen is, he doesn't have the best one-hit knockout power. He's going to throw a lot of accumulations. He's going to damage you, like you said, with that elbow against Song Yadong. It's going to be combinations, straights, elbows, those weird angle shots. So I think this is going to be an easy fight of the night. Like, I am so excited for this fight.
Cory Sandhagen, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of movement out of both guys. Both guys switch stances tremendously. I'd say Sandhagen might be a little more fluid into it because he continues to throw volume when he does it, but their volume numbers are insane. Sandhagen is 7th right now in bantamweight history with 5.93 significant strikes landed per minute. Sean O'Malley, obviously number 1. But for Vera, where does he find himself in the bantamweight ranks? Number 1 all-time in bantamweight history with finishes being 10. He's got so many submission wins. For Cory Sandhagen, his MMA math line that grows stronger, he beat John Lineker. But Marlon Vera lost to John Lineker. And in that Lineker fight,
I'm telling you though, that fight went 10 seconds longer.
Lineker was ranked 8th in that one. Cory Sandhagen was unranked. And Lineker, what did he do? He threw hands of stone. Everything he threw was hooks with 100% power in it. And Sandhagen did a good job of rolling with a lot of the shots in it. And then in the 3rd round, he struggled with it. But for me, in this fight, with Sandhagen, the one thing that weirds me out with Marlon Vera is he tends to shell up a lot. But the best part of his defensive shell, when he rolls with the punches himself, his elbows are tucked low enough to where he covers enough of the body that guys don't tend to hit him in the body a lot. Cory Sandhagen is one of those guys that after he's pop, pitter-patter, getting you, kind of thinking of moving up top, then he goes left hook to the body and he starts to throw a lot of his kicks and his combinations. And that's where Sandhagen could pull away, or it opens up a lot of the power shots of Marlon Vera to counter off of that.
You're right. I think Sandhagen's going to have a big advantage if he's moving forward, because you're right about Marlon does a good job blocking the body. Cory Sandhagen will grab your wrist, frame off with it, and use his elbow over the top. Like, that's one of his favorite techniques. If you do just rely on kind of a... Not that Vera doesn't have an active defense, because he does have an active defense. He keeps his hands up, he moves his head behind it. But if he does find himself not moving his feet and becoming a little bit more stationary on the back foot, I could see Cory Sandhagen really picking up steam and starting to land his own combinations, because I think Marlon has more power. I think that's fair to say. But Cory throws a higher variety of shots. He throws spinning elbows. He will incorporate the elbow a lot more. He really is kind of the sultan of swing when you think about it, because he mixes it in with the movement, with the spins.
Cory Sandhagen, Babe Ruth.
There you go. Big Dire Straits fan? Maybe. Probably before his time. Anyways, I think this is one of those fights though where the prediction's not wrong no matter what. Either guy could win by knockout round 1 through 5. I think that's fair. Another guy could win by decision in a 5-round fight, which you can't often say that because normally you favor one guy a lot with the cardio, and I don't right now.
You touch on the aspect of Cory Sandhagen and his creativity. For Marlon Vera, watch the 3rd round that Petr Yan had against Sandhagen. What was it that really rocked Sandhagen and sent him to the canvas? Spinning back fist into a left hook. And
so nice.
So Marlon Vera can get creative that way. And we touched on it earlier. Marlon Vera, when he took on Sean O'Malley, story of the fight was the leg kicks, but he beat the leg kick champ and Andre Ewell. Marlon Vera's leg kicks are very good.
When he turned it on in that fight, he looked incredible.
They're an underrated part of his game for sure. So both of these guys, just two of the better strikers that you're going to find in this division that is one of the premier divisions in the UFC. I know lightweight gets a shine. I know Conor McGregor's mean mugging with Dana White in the background with Michael Chandler today, but we threw it on over to you guys in the community tab. YouTube community tab, about 1,000 votes here, 55% going with Chito Marlon Vera. In the comments section, Russ Gaudette, I think Marlon is going to be too stationary, and Cory's going to light him up with some dynamic stuff. Gibiscus is saying, I'm all over Cory in this matchup. We also have Randy saying, Randy Bobandy, Dirty Blue Jay Burger, saying 5 rounds, I'm going Chito, although stylistically this is a tough one for him. Crafting is saying, this is going to look like Chito versus Font, but maybe less damage on Cory. And I think that's a really smart one there. And we'll go with Joe Richardson as well, saying Chito wins this. So the fans are really close on this one. And this is similar to last weekend's matchup. It was about a 55-45 split that had Usman over Edwards. Edwards getting the win in the trilogy matchup. So in this one, Matt, it really is a tough one to try and pick. Cory Sandhagen versus Marlon Vera. A great main event in this one.
It's an incredible fight. This is going to make you an MMA fan if you've never watched MMA before. Watch Sandhagen Vera. You're going to be incredibly entertained by the end of it. I have Cory Sandhagen by the straw that broke that camel's back that one time. It is that close of a fight to where it's so dangerous for him to do the one thing he's really good at. Get on the inside, throw elbows, and be dynamic. Easier said than done when there's a guy who, again, has power from both sides, throws an incredible amount of strikes. And the thing about Marlon that he's really good at, and it makes me worry because I'm picking Sandhagen moves like Dominic Cruz, but he's a lot more offensively oriented. Marlon Vera figured out the movement of Dominic Cruz, baited him into a kick, and then just met the head with the foot and was able to knock him out that way. So I think Vera doesn't get the credit he deserves for not just being a tough fighter, he's a smart fighter too, but I do have Cory Sandhagen by a minuscule amount.
I ever so slightly like Sandhagen in the matchup as well because of his offensive output. His output, he lands about 2 strikes per minute more than Marlon Vera does. Vera absorbs more strikes per minute than he throws. But he's also, 12-4 in the UFC, so 12-6.
When he kicks pads on video,
14-6.
It's terrifying. I couldn't imagine how hard
Is it as bad as Joe Rogan when he kicks pads on video?
It sounds like a thunderstorm.
Bash.
But Marlon Vera is, we used to joke about how, Gabriel Benitez, they used to say it, a.k.a. pound for pound, he has the hardest kicks. Marlon Vera legitimately probably has pound for pound some of the harder kicks in the UFC, which is wild. But Sandhagen and Vera is going to make for one of the best fights of the year. I can almost guarantee you that much.
Matt, it is an amazing main event. A lot of really intriguing prospects on this card. If you're not already looking forward to it right yet, make sure you check out the Nate Landwehr fight that's against Austin Lingo. That should be an amazing one. I know Steven Peterson, Lucas Alexander.
It's a good one.
We're excited about that one. And Manuel Torres taking on Trey Ogden. A couple of clashes of styles. Manuel Torres, you talk about a guy that burns white hot. Manuel Torres is red, orange, white, and blue out of that fire. He gets it all done, and he's taking on the big fundamental in Trey Ogden. San Antonio special there with the Tim Duncan
Will Tim Duncan be in attendance? I think the odds would be minus a million no.
Yeah. Nah, he's out braiding his hair. But
Probably.
Matt, a big-time fight card coming up this weekend from the Alamo City. We thank you so much for tuning in. The subscriptions and the likes, they are much appreciated. We're live 2 hours before the prelims coming up this Saturday. For Fight Night Picks !Kicks, if any fights fall out, if they're added, moved, subtracted, whatever, we will be here on YouTube, so make sure you stay tuned for all of that content here on the channel. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.